So you found the deal, let's get it financed. So most of the time when we're going out there and investing in property, we tend to use a buy-to-let mortgage, but there are several other ways of financing properties, including bridging. And in today's video, I want to break down the differences between buy-to-let and bridging so you can save not only time and money, but secure the best deals available. So let's start with the most obvious, buy-to-let mortgages. Now, this is the most common way of funding deals. Kind of feels like they've been around forever. But actually, did you know they've only been around since 1996, which really isn't a long time considering how much buy-to-let property there is in the UK. It actually takes up 21% of the available stock in residential property in the UK right now. So you might be thinking, well, if that was in 1996, then when did bridging come into play? Well, actually, that was back in the 1960s. And originally, a bridging loan was used to bridge you selling your house to buy the next property. And back then, you couldn't actually get two mortgages at a time. And so instead, you had to sell one house and then buy the next. And so you use short-term bridging loans to bridge the gap. So let's go through some key differences. Well, number one is the term of the loan. How long do you tend to take the loan out for? Well, buy-to-let mortgages, technically, you can have up to 35 years on it, but really, we tend to keep them as investors between 2 and 5 years. Now, the reason for this is because most of us want some fixed security in the interest rate, and most forms of fixed interest come between 2 and 5 years, but technically, you can have it for the lifetime of the loan up to 35 years. Now, what about bridging? Well, as I said, bridging is used as a short-term loan to bridge the gap from one finance route to another. So a majority of people taking out a bridging loan usually have it between 6 and 12 months. And there's usually no early redemption charges. So say you took out some bridging and you wanted to get it paid off in a couple of months, then you can do that. The next thing to be thinking about is the cost of finance. Now, actually, this one might interest you. Bridging is more expensive from an interest rate point of view. If you said your average bridging is about 0.9% a month, whereas you are going to have buy-to-let mortgages at the time of filming this at about 5.5% per annum. So if you said 0.5% a month, that's considerably cheaper. But is it always? Well, in some situations, no, because if you're buying, let's say, a property that you want to snap it up right away, maybe you want to add some value and then refinance, if you bought with a bridging, you might have costs of 1% in, 0.84% a month as an example, and then you might do it up in 3 months and then refinance. And so that's cost you all of about, let's say, 5% all in. So if you borrowed 100 grand, 5 grand worth of charges. With a buy-to-let property borrowing 100 grand, here's what you're likely going to do. You're still going to have some upfront costs, probably about £1,000 with your broker and the survey fee, and of course any procurement fee, probably closer to 2,000, but let's call it £1,000 for now. Then let's say you're going to have it for the same period, only 3 months. Well, you've only paid maybe 1.5% there, so £1,500. So where are these additional costs come in? Well, this comes in a kind of hidden charge called the early redemption charge, an ERC. Most mortgages come with a 2-year minimum lend, and if you sell or refinance within that 2-year period, then you are going to get charged an early redemption charge, and this is often a minimum of £2,000, but it can be a hell of a lot more. So if you are turning it around within that short time frame, often bridging will come into play a lot better than your buy-to-let mortgage. And here's a little secret for you. You don't actually need to go to a hard broker. What does this mean? There are software brokers, my favorite of which is Lendlord, which I talk about on the channel and is today's video sponsor, Thanks for that, landlord. You can actually go on there and waive a lot of the upfront fees, and you're able to peruse every single lender that they have available for free, so you can compare the lot, find the best finance available, and get it in your pocket within weeks, not months. So if you want to check them out, I'll put a link in the description. It is completely free to use. It's got loads of hints, tips, and tricks that you can use for your full portfolio, including masking out the next 5 years and getting your finance in play today. So if you're not a user already, click the link in the description. It is completely free. The next thing to be thinking about is the exit strategy. A lot of the time in property, you need to think about the outlets that you're going to be thinking about. Now, every single property that I buy, I want at least 2 exits. One of them is my long-term exit, which is almost all the time, because if you've been watching me for a while, you know I love the boring, vanilla buy-to-let properties. However, sometimes I want to make sure I've got that backup in case I need to sell the property. Now, the reason for this is the more you know your exit, the more you can plan your finances. It's very much like your tax situation. The better you know how you're going to scale and your long-term exit strategy, the better you can prepare for your taxes today until it's too late. So what we do is, if you are going to end up refinancing, then in a quick amount of time or a short amount of time, then bridging is going to be great for this. Whereas if you are purchasing a property today and thinking, you know what, I might refinance in the next 2 to 5 years, then using a buy-to-let property is going to be great. And in a moment, I'm going to break down a few tips, tricks, and techniques that you can use to decide between your bridging purchase and your mortgage purchase. The final thing I want to talk about is the criteria of lending. Now, because buy-to-lets are a lot more cheaper, they're a lot longer term, they're a lot more mainstream, the criteria is very much a computer says yes, computer says no situation. Basically, you need to tick all of the boxes in order to get the lending, and most of the time it's a computer making the decision on you, and then if you complain about it, if you get in touch, maybe a human will look over it. However, with bridging, it is very much the complete opposite. They're not that bothered about you as an individual, they're more bothered about the property. So it's much closer to something called asset lending, where they're relying on the asset and will give you a percentage of the value of that to get it through quickly. And they know that if you as an individual screw it all up, then they'll be able to go after the property and get a great investment. So, with all of that in mind, when would you use bridging over a mortgage? Number one is when you're buying at auction or another version, so you need to purchase quickly. You cannot rely on mortgages, whereas you can pretty much look at a bridge as the same as buying cash. Number two is if the property is uninhabitable. So if it's not got running water or anything like that, bridges don't care. However, pretty much every mortgage company I've come across, they are looking at, can I get a tenant in there quickly? Can I get a return on the investment? Number three is if you are looking for quick finance or turnaround finance, i.e. you need to snap up the deal, you're going to add some value to it, and you're not looking to pay any early redemption charges, bridging will make a lot more sense. And number four, and probably for me the most important, is can I secure the best deals? Now, sometimes this will be a discount on the property, or what I'm more focused on is getting the best property in the best area with strong capital growth. Now, the downside of looking for properties in the best area for myself and my investors is the fact that the properties sell like this, going all the way through the chain as quickly as possible. So I need to be able to buy quickly, and bridging makes this possible. So in short, bridging is a massive opportunity if you know what to do. If you don't, you need to be cautious, because it can be perceived and can really be a lot higher risk. And the way that you can look at these opportunities before you end up spending any money is by using a software broker. My broker of choice is Lendlord. As I said, I've used them on multiple purchases over the last couple of years. And the way you can get access to that for free is with the link in the description below. And let me know what you thought of this video as well. Hopefully it's been helpful. If there's anything else you want me to cover around bridging or buy-to-let finance, let me know and I'll do another video on it. As I said, if you are new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell. And if you did get value, it helps me out tremendously. If you like me, destroy the like button and I'll see you in the next video.